attendance of His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah, the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, and in the presence of His Highness the Father Emir Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, the graduation ceremony was held today for the university graduates, cadets in the 19th batch and the cadet officers of the 42nd batch at Ali Al Sabah Military Academy. His Highness the Emir was received upon arrival by the Deputy Premier and Minister of Defense Sheikh Khalid Jarrah Al Sabah, the Army Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Mohammed Khalid Al Khidr, the Defense Ministry Under Secretary Jassar Abdel Razak Al Jassar, the Director of Ali Al Sabah Military Academy, Brigadier Mohammed Ahmed Al Khidr, members of the Military Defense Council, and senior staff of the Academy. The graduation ceremony was attended by His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah, His Excellency the National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ali Al Ghanem, His Excellency the ex-National Assembly Speaker Jassim Mohammed Al Khrafi, senior sheikhs, His Excellency Deputy Chief of the National Guard Sheikh Mashal Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah, His Highness Sheikh Nasser Al Mohammed Al Ahmed Al Sabah, His Highness Sheikh Jabir Al Mubarak Al Hamad Al Sabah, the Prime Minister, Deputy Minister of the Amiri Diwan Affairs Sheikh Ali Jarrah Al Sabah, senior government officials, and a large number of the graduates' families. After the national anthem and recitation from the Holy Quran, the director of Ali Al Sabah Military Academy delivered a speech to assert that the political and military changes in the region calls upon the State of Kuwait to face a number of challenges, adding that the Academy was able to face those challenges by introducing alterations to its curricula and military sciences. After seeking permission from His Highness the Emir, the commander of the parade started the graduation ceremony, which included handing over the banner from the graduating batch to the new batch of cadets at the military academy. And final graduation results were then proclaimed by the assistant director of the academy, His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah, then distributed prizes to the students who came in first place. His Highness the Emir then proceeded to the Emiri Hall, where the Academy officers saluted His Highness and his honourable guest before leaving the sites. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah, the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, patronizes and attends the graduation ceremony of the 41st batch of cadets and the 26th of specialized military students and the 6th batch of specialized female students at the Support Institute. The graduate ceremony will take place at Saad Al Abdallah Academy for Security and Sciences at 10:30 a.m. tomorrow, Tuesday, the 10th of March 2015. The National Assembly Bureau held a meeting today under the chairmanship of the House Speaker Marzouk Ali Al Ghanem. Speaking up to the meeting, the House Secretary Adel Al Khrafi said in a press release that the Bureau decided to appoint Brigadier Khalid Al Waqit as Assistant Secretary General for National Assembly Guards. Mr. Al Khrafi added that the meeting discussed a number of administrative issues and took note of incoming messages to the National Assembly. The National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ali Al Ghanem received at his office today the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives in the Kingdom of Morocco, Abdel Latif Wahbi, and his accompanying delegation. Discussion in the meeting covered bilateral relation and means of boosting them in different areas, especially with regard to parliamentary affairs and the exchange of parliamentary delegation. They also discussed the current development at the regional and international levels. The meeting was attended by the Deputy Speaker Mbarak Al Khrenij, Head of the Mission of Honor Dr. Mohammed Hwayla, the National Assembly members Dr. Yusuf Zalzala and Abdullah Tamimi, and the Moroccan Embassy Chargé d'Affaires Al Mahdi Al Rami. His Highness Sheikh Jabir Al Mubarak Al Hamad Al Sabah, the Prime Minister, received at Sif Palace today the National Assembly Deputy Speaker Mbarak Al Khrenij and the visiting Deputy Speaker of the Moroccan Parliament Abdel Latif Wahbi and his accompanying delegation. The meeting was attended by Head of the Mission of Honor, Member of the National Assembly Dr. Mohammed Hadi Al Hwayla. His Excellency, the First Deputy Premier and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sheikh Sabah Khalid Al Hamad Al Sabah, presides over Kuwait's delegation to the meeting of the Arab League at the ministerial level, which opens in Cairo today. Sheikh Sabah Khalid Al Hamad Al Sabah will also chair the panel entrusted with following up on the implementation of the resolution and commitments by the Ministerial Council. The panel will brief the Arab foreign ministers about the progress made in the implementation of the resolutions adopted by the 25th session of the Arab Summit Conference headed by the State of Kuwait. His Excellency the Deputy Premier and Minister of Interior Sheikh Mohammed Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Subah expressed deep thanks and appreciation to the National Assembly members who handed over their arms, ammunition and fireworks. He said the National Assembly sets an example to all citizens about the meaning of the sense of belonging and responsiveness to the call issued by the Ministry of Interior to hand over the weapons in their possession to the security forces. Sheikh Mohammed Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Subah said the National Assembly members representing people are the models that must be followed in expressing the sense of belonging to this good land and real work for maintaining the security of this country and protection of its assets and potentials. He added that the initiative which they have taken reflected the close cooperation between the legislative and executive authorities. The National Assembly members, for their part, praised the sincere efforts made by the Deputy Premier and Minister of Interior in enforcing the law without any exemptions or exclusion. They added that the attempts made by certain people to hide their arms or surrender only part of them is an illusion, as the hand of law will reach them all. The Parliament members also praised the awareness campaign being launched by the local media and newspapers to support the legislative and legal institutions in enforcing the law. The Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Mbarak Al-Khreinej, received at his office today the visiting Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives in the Kingdom of Morocco, Abdel Latif Wahbi, and his accompanying delegation. Talks in the meeting focused on the existing relations between the two countries and means of enhancing cooperation between them. The meeting was attended by the National Assembly member Faris Latibi and the Moroccan Embassy Charge d'Affaires Al-Mahdi Al-Rami. Saudi Arabia said the Gulf Cooperation Council, the GCC, agreed to host talks in Riyadh to end the Yemen crisis. The statement states that Saudi Arabia asked the GCC countries, at the request of Yemen's President Abdurrabbu Mansour Hadi, to host the talks in Riyadh, where the headquarters of the organization was, and that they had agreed. Yemen, a neighbor of top oil exporter Saudi Arabia and global security worry because of its strong al-Qaeda presence, is caught in a standoff between Western-backed President Hadi and Houthi rebels. Moreover, Hadi refused to talk with the Houthis unless they vacate the capital Sana'a, asking to move the talks to a neutral area. General Martin Dempsey, chairman of the U.S. Joint Chief of Staff, arrived in Baghdad today on an official visit to discuss with Iraqi officials the military operation against the so-called Islamic State terrorist group. Dempsey will meet Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi, also Commander-in-Chief of the Iraqi Armed Forces, in addition to Iraqi Defense Minister Khalid al-Abadi and other Iraqi officials. General Martin Dempsey's visit coincides with the start of an offensive by Kurdish Peshmerga forces in Kirkuk that further increases the pressure on their last IS strongholds east of the river Tigris. Dempsey emphasized that strikes must be very precise to avoid additional suffering, also saying that while the priority has been protecting people, it may also be possible to use air power to defend Iraqi heritage sites being targeted by the extremists. The crossing between Gaza and Egypt was opened today to allow Palestinians stranded on both sides to pass. More with Majd Haidi from Gaza.
Today, Egypt reopened its crossing with the Gaza Strip to allow humanitarian cases to cross. The crossing will be opened from both sides and for 2 days. Students, patients in need of medical treatment, and dual nationals are all waiting for the gate to open so they can leave.
The closure of the border affect me and affect all the people in Gaza Strip because, you know, I miss to stay with my children, the New Year and the Christmas, and 2 children, they have birthday, all these things, and their holiday in England. I cannot join them because the closure.
اليوم أصبح أو لي حظ إن أنا أسافر.
Today I am lucky because the crossing has been opened. I am a PhD student in an Egyptian university. Since the Rafah crossing was closed, my official documents have expired. I couldn't leave and I was afraid to lose everything. My wife is here. My children are also here, and I hope that we'll leave today.
Rafah crossing was closed after a suicide bombing in the Sinai Peninsula killed 30 Egyptian soldiers. Since then, Egypt has closed its border for security concerns. But earlier this month, an Islamic Jihad delegation and Egyptian authorities met in Cairo to address the need for Egyptian authorities to open the Rafah crossing between Egypt and the Gaza Strip. The crossing is working for the first time in nearly 2 months.
The crossing is opened for the first time in 45 days, and people have been waiting for a long time. Opening the crossing for 2 days is not enough. We have tens of thousands of humanitarian cases, especially patients. I hope that Egypt will open the crossing permanently.
Officials said that Egypt agreed in principle to open the crossing on a regular basis soon. However, sources added that the opening of the crossing will be contingent on the role of the unity government and reliant on a commitment by Hamas to stop interfering in internal Egyptian issues. After its total closure for many months, the Egyptian authorities have decided to reopen its Rafah crossing border with Gaza for 2 days. During this period of time, hundreds of humanitarian cases will be able to leave and enter the besieged enclave. Majda Wahedi, Kuwait TV, Gaza.
An explosion in Egypt's second city of Alexandria targeted a mobile phone shop today, one day after a series of bombings killed 1 and wounded 9 in the same city. There were no injuries or deaths reported from the blast, but the shop exterior and nearby vehicles were damaged. Meanwhile, a roadside bomb killed 3 Egyptian soldiers northeast of the Sinai Peninsula. The blast comes days ahead of an investment conference in Sharm el-Sheikh resort, which Egypt hopes will project an image of stability and security and secure billions of dollars. However, smaller blasts have become increasingly common in Cairo and other cities, particularly near police stations. At least 30 people were killed after a U.S.-led coalition raid hit an oil refinery run by the so-called Islamic State group near the Syria-Turkey border. Turkish authorities stepped up security as Turkish military vehicles were seen around town. The so-called Islamic State group seized wide areas of Syria and Iraq, declaring them part of a cross-border caliphate. The territories in control or it controls in northern and eastern Syria include oil-producing regions that have financed the group's activities. However, the Pentagon stated that oil was no longer the main source of revenue for the so-called Islamic State. Saud al-Nasser al-Subah Kuwait Diplomatic Institute hosted today a lecture delivered by former Egyptian Foreign Minister Dr. Nabil Fahmy entitled The Arab Situation Between the Present and the Future. Dr. Fahmy's visit to Kuwait took place at the invitation of Kuwait's first Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Sheikh Subah Khalid al-Hamad al-Subah. Here is more on the event in this report with Salim al-Kindari.
Visiting former Egyptian Foreign Minister Dr. Nabil Fahmy to Kuwait came after accepting an invitation by the Kuwaiti government, which resulted in a delivered lecture today by the diplomat mapping the recent Arab situation and suggesting some plans for the future.
I came to Kuwait on the invitation of the Deputy Prime Minister, First Prime Minister, Minister of Foreign Affairs. He is an old friend for many years of diplomatic service. He believes in intellectual engagement, and I'm also a strong proponent of engagement. It's also opportune because Kuwait will hand over the head of the Arab Summit to Egypt in a few weeks in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. So it was important to have a dialogue about challenging issues to the Arab world and how to move forward. 3 major things: how to preserve and defend the national identity, the Arab identity. Secondly, how to build a stronger middle class dealing with issues of poverty and education and health services. And thirdly, how to develop more efficient political systems in order to take the lead in dealing with the regional problems in the Middle East, not leave it to foreigners to take the lead in it.
Dr. Fahmy suggested during his lecture to change the way Arab strategies work, preserve the Arab identity and individual nationalities, strengthening the middle class and create a mechanism to solve issues firsthand before reciting to external solutions, and also to be transparent while making the public aware of all situations by involving them in all solutions. Today's lecture discussed various issues regarding the Arab situation and how it can be improved between the present and the future. From Saud al-Nasser al-Sabah Diplomatic Institute, this is Salim Kandari reporting for the English News.
Kuwait University's Social Science Department, along with the United Nations Development Programme, the UNDP Mishrif, organized an event on the Shueikh campus in honor of International Women's Day. Celebrated globally on March the 8th, this year's International Women's Day highlights the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action signed by 189 governments 20 years ago, setting the agenda for realizing women's rights. Each country recognizes the holiday a bit differently than the other, but overall, on this day, men tend to take extra care to honor the women in their lives. Kuwait University's event this year focuses specifically on women's health. Reporter Badriya Saleh brings us this report.
In honor of International Women's Day, Kuwait University's Social Science Department hosted its 5th annual awareness event to both shed light on the subject and honor this internationally recognized day. This year's event centered on the theme of women's health. Medical representatives were available at a variety of booths to answer questions regarding specific health concerns from depression to breast cancer and much more. Participants could even sign their own ribbon with a message expressing their own personal concerns and interests in advocating for the holiday, then posted on a large public board, using their own voices and thoughts to advocate for the aspects about this holiday that matter most to them.
Universities, as you know, everywhere is a leading forces for development and changes. And colleges of humanities and social science is the leader within that context. Therefore, it's not surprising that College of Social Science holds a lot of activities, conferences, seminars, day activities, and so many subjects and issues, at least related to the majors and priorities of the college. The Women Center is one of the important centers of research and studies in the college, and I would say it's the only one in the GCC universities. So it's not surprised that the college holds this day. It's a part and parcel of our social, educational and national duties.
I think it was essential for us to have it here. Why we chose to have it on campus is so that we can have students take part with us, be aware of what's going on, try and show how students can actually take part in the gender empowerment. And they've chosen to join us in this event. It's very important that they know that they can contribute to society. And that's why we even started gender studies over here when we opened the center. We started gender studies in different departments so that people would learn as part of the curriculum. We wanted to shed light on what women are doing all over the world, women are doing here in Kuwait, appreciate what they're contributing, and join them to further our own country's progress.
The theme of this year's International Women's Day is the call of UN Women's Beijing Plus 20 campaign, Empowering Women, Empowering Humanity, Picture It. And governments and activists across the world are commemorating the groundbreaking conference of 1995. According to the UN, the Beijing Platform for Action focuses specifically on 12 areas of concern and envisions a world where each woman and girl can express her choices by participating in politics, getting an education, having an income, and living in societies free from violence and discrimination.
Of course, UNDP treats gender as a very important cross-cutting issue in all development areas. So whatever area we're working on in development, gender component has to be there in all our projects and all our activities and interventions. So we really care for the women empowerment issue as a basis for equal opportunity for women, for them to be able to fully participate in their society and take the role they're doing.
While there have been numerous achievements since the 1995 conference, many crucial gaps still remain. At Kuwait University, event organizers are striving to close some of those gaps on a local level.
The event organizers hope that in Kuwait's near future, advocacy for women's rights will become more of a universal second nature. At Kuwait University in Shueikh, I'm Badriya Saleh reporting for the English News.
In our final item, we move to the local business news, where Kuwait Stock Exchange ended today's trading on a mixed board as the price index lost 3.64 points, while the weight index gained 1.5 points and the KSX 15 index gained 5.63 points. The number of trades altogether amounted to 2,765 transactions worth about 9 million Kuwaiti dinars, with around 84 million shares changing hands. For a chance to see our reports again, please visit our YouTube channel at MOI Kuwait News. Well, with that, we conclude our news bulletin. Thank you for joining us. Have a pleasant time. I'm Mahan Tawa. Before we go, we remind you once again of our main top stories. Have a pleasant time and good night. His Highness the Emir patronizes and attends the graduation ceremony of military cadets at Ali As-Subah Military Academy. The National Assembly Speaker discusses with the visiting Deputy Speaker of the Moroccan Parliament ways of boosting cooperation between the two countries. The Deputy Premier and Minister of Interior praises the National Assembly members who took the initiative of handing over their arms and ammunition. And a Gulf Cooperation Council agrees to host talks to end the Yemen crisis in Riyadh.